Okay, so I don't know how the hair situation is going right now. It looks cute in the mirror. Don't know if it'll translate on camera. Hi everyone, it's the girl with blue eyeshadow. Did I get my name right? I think I got my name right. Oh my god, look at me. Okay. So today I had this idea. I was talking to one of my friends about makeup, and she just had like basic questions like, how do I get my eyeshadow to stay? How do I make my makeup last longer? And I just thought this would be like a fun like beginner one-on-one on how I do my makeup and like tips I've, you know, learned over the years of watching YouTube doing my makeup. So this is like basic makeup 101, I guess. Or maybe you just need a review. I don't know. So yeah, I'm just gonna talk about like techniques that have worked for me, what brushes and then tools I recommend, stuff like that. So hopefully you'll find this interesting. So let's begin. So first, what I usually always do is I go in with my foundation. Well, no, I'll usually go in with a primer. Lately, I haven't been doing primer. I think primer is one of those things, if you like it, you can use it. If you don't, you don't need to use it. I think using just your sunscreen and a moisturizer is a good first step. But if you're interested in primers, this like e.l.f. Jelly Pop primer, hopefully, I never know if I'm showing these correctly. This e.l.f. Jelly Pop primer is similar to, I've heard, to the Hydro Grip, which helps grip the makeup, if that makes sense. So it's gonna stay, but also provide you with like a dewy finish. I have other types of primers. I have this Becca First Light Priming Filter one. This one I just think just helps moisturize the base. If maybe I moisturized, but then I feel like it's not as moisturized as I want it to be, I would go in with this. I also have the Becca, what is this one? The Backlit Priming Filter, which I feel like provides like a glow, another kind of glowy base, if that makes sense. And then I also have this Bite Beauty one, which is like a matte kind of, I think it has silicone in it, which kind of helps mattify. I don't think it really reduces my pore size, but if you would want something that would fill in your pores, using a primer would help with that. I don't know if I can think of any off my top of the head that are good, because I think the Revlon one that I used to use is no longer existing. So I'm gonna go in with this stick foundation by Huda Beauty. I forget what it's called. I think it's their faux filter one. This one's very nice because I can just kind of go just on my skin. Now I put foundation under my eyes just because I don't love the like brightening look. That's kind of usually what people like. I usually prefer my under eyes to be about the same color as my skin tone, but I will go in with concealer just so I can cover up my under eyes a bit more. So with any kind of, I guess, foundation, you can either go in with a sponge or you can go in with a brush. A brush is going to give you a more full coverage. You're going to get more coverage with a brush because your sponge is going to absorb more. I kind of go back and forth on what I like to use. Sometimes I like using a sponge, sometimes I use using a brush. It kind of just depends. Sometimes I'm lazy and I don't want to wet my brush or my sponge. For sponges, this is an AOA sponge. It's $1 off their website. I like that it looks like the Beauty Blender. I like the Beauty Blender shape. If you don't like the Beauty Blender shape, they have different ones. The Real Techniques is something that people always like. I just don't love the shape of the Real Techniques one. I like the Eco Tools one, which is because I like having like a bottom like this. The Eco Tools one is probably the one I would recommend. I have an e.l.f. one for their holiday collection. It's their Marshmallow one. It's kind of far away. I don't want to reach for it. And then for foundation brushes, I think this is the Selfie one by e.l.f., the Selfie brush by e.l.f. I also have their Precision one, also by e.l.f., and then I have this other one by Real Techniques. The Real Technique one I do like for foundation, but I like that it's not as dense, so I can kind of use it for cream, blush, or bronzer. This isn't my favorite so far. Maybe I think I just need to test it out some more. But this so far has like been my favorite for a really long time. I think it's the selfie brush. I don't know. The ultimate blending brush. Forget what I said about selfie. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and blend this out. Also, you want to blend down like this, just so, because you have hairs on your face, even if you maybe can't see them. And you usually, if you go up, it's going to kind of disrupt it and not make the foundation application not look as nice. Sorry, if I'm looking weirdly, there's a camera right here, or a mirror right here, it's what I'm looking at. I usually try not to apply product right here, personally, just because, I mean, without makeup, you can't tell that I have kind of like smile lines. And when I do put foundation there, it can get kind of cakey. So I just try to avoid that area and just kind of go around it. I think I'm going to go in with more foundation on my more scarred areas, which is the sides of my face and my chin. And I think I'm going to go in with a sponge. I also like going in with a brush and then going in with a sponge. I think that helps give me the desired coverage that I like. Okay, I'm gonna check this mirror over here to make sure I don't look crazy. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with my concealer. This is the e.l.f. concealer, the hydrating e.l.f. concealer. I'm just gonna go into this. So I know it's kind of trendy to go in with like the full triangle. I guess the Robert Welch way, it's not his real technique, but he always suggests kind of just going here and maybe a little dot right there. And then I kind of use the Jackie Aina technique of letting that sit for a second. Oh, I'll also try to go this area, which gets... And then I'll just let that sit a little bit. I think that helps with coverage. Just letting it kind of sit and dry out. Not too much, like you don't want it to actually dry out on your skin. I then go with my eye primer, and this is where I'll prime my eyes. I have the Wet n Wild Photo Focus eyeshadow primer. I think this is my favorite eyeshadow primer of all time. I've tried the Milani one, didn't like that one. I've tried the NYX one, the waterproof one, don't really like that one. The glitter one's good, but I don't use that like on an everyday basis. I think for an everyday basis and kind of everything, I would recommend this one. I've also tried the Urban Decay one. That one's okay. I don't really get the hype. I feel like this does an almost better job than that. But I'm always interested in eyeshadow primers. Eyeshadow primer is good because if you have oily lids, this will help not to make them oily, if that makes sense, and it won't break down as easy. I'm someone who has very oily lids, so using just concealer, I know some people recommend just putting concealer as a base. That personally doesn't work for me because my lids are too oily. I need to be using an eyeshadow. An eyeshadow primer. Okay, so now I think that's been on long enough. Kind of depends on my mood. I don't love using my fingers, but I've noticed that it does kind of give me the most coverage, and I kind of want the most coverage on this part of my face, which has the most acne scars. Acne scars and just like plain out blemishes. I'm just gonna blend that out. Hold on a second. I should just keep the towel here. And then I'm just gonna go over it. That sounded funny. Now you can blend out your under eye with either like, a brush like your foundation or a sponge, or even with your finger. Sometimes you'll get more coverage with your finger. The warmth of your finger helps. I don't love the texture, to be honest, of blending things out with my finger. I only really do it for like a tinted moisturizer situation. So then I just kind of go under. For me personally, I don't mind if some of the redness under my eyes comes through too much. Like I would like it neutralized. But I feel like I kind of look a little crazy trying to cancel out all the darkness. I've embraced my under eyes, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Another thing I can recommend about brushes is you don't have to use them from what they say to use them for. So for example, I have an Eco Tools brush like this. It's very pointed. It's supposed to be used for concealer, and I guess if you were like cleaning up, I could see it for. If you were like cleaning up, I guess like your eyes, that's what I'm trying to say. But I find it that I like using it for an inner corner highlight tip brush. That or my pinky I'll use. Or just like blending out under my eye on my lower lash line. I find that this will work just fine. So you don't have to follow what the brush says it's supposed to do, if that makes sense. This is a foundation brush, but I'll use it for cream products. I'm not someone who's like, oh, I use this for my foundation. I can't use it for my blush. Sometimes I'm like that. It depends on my mood. I don't know. Anyway. So again, I like going with my face first. So I'm going to go with this blush. It's this like little broken ass essence blush. So for blushes, there's like two kind of different brushes you can use. Some people like using like a big fluffy brush, such as these. Some people like using this type of brush, which is kind of like it's angled and it's not as dense. I personally prefer using a brush that's kind of tapered like this. This is the e.l.f. small tapered brush. I think it depends on the blush. Like if it's not very pigmented, this is when I'll go in with this. Or even if it is pigmented, I'll just take less on. I just like how this applies, to be honest. So for blush placement, I tend to put my blush high. I know there's like the thing when you do the cheek things, but then your blush just goes down, if that makes sense. So like if I apply it here, it's gonna go down. So I should just apply it high. I like applying my blush in this area, so I'm just gonna show you what I usually do. And I'll kind of take it down. And kind of like what I said before, I always do my face first, then my eyes. I don't know why. I just like I like having a base ready for my eyes, if that makes sense. I kind of alternate if I go blush first or bronzer first. The dog is mad at something again. Okay, I think that's enough. And I will also kind of go over my nose just slightly. I'm not going to put on highlight. I just haven't been feeling highlight the past couple weeks. But what I can recommend, I usually go in with a cream highlight. So before I put the powder on, I will go in with the cream. I use Moonstone by Becca. I just kind of line that, and it gives me a very nice and within look, nice glow from within look. Another thing is you can go, this is my Fenty highlighter in Hustla Baby. I recommend either using, I like brushes like this, like again the tapered brush, and going in with them, or you can use something kind of like this type of brush where it's a more densely packed. Kind of depends on the highlight. I have another brush somewhere. This is supposed to be a highlighting brush from e.l.f. I don't love this because I don't think it picks up enough product, in my opinion. But yeah, it just depends. You can also do your finger, whatever you want. I'm going to go with the Butter Bronzer, my bronzer. And Again, you can use like one of these two brushes. I've been using this brush recently. This brush is fine too if you wanna. I think it's nice because you can like place the product and blend it because it has a pointed side to it. But this is nice as well. And I kind of just go, not crazy I would say, but I just kind of apply my bronzer. So I go kind of where my blush was. I don't have a huge forehead, but I like getting the corners of my forehead just to add color. I go under my chin, which I don't think technically with bronzer you're supposed to do. That's technically for contour, but I kind of blend my contour. My contour and bronzer just kind of take the same place. And then I'll kind of go by my nose because I like just looking like I have some sort of color, if that makes sense. I feel like I look a little pale today. Sorry if my hair is just like crazy right now, but that's just what we're dealing with. I kind of just go all over. I look a little crazy. I know. So that's kind of like my base is pretty much, oh no, I'm not done with my base. So I'll go in with a setting powder. So with setting powder, how I used to do setting powder is I would go in with like a fluffy brush like this and just go all over. I like looking glowy. So I will now go in with something more precise. So where's my other brush? Oh, here. So I have this brush by Real Techniques. This is a contour brush, and I don't know what kind of brush this is, but it's like a very, I think it's supposed to be used for eyeshadow, but I like going in with these, one of these two, going in with my powder and just putting the powder where I want it to go. Does that make sense? So I will put it on my nose because that's where I get the most oily. I'll put it on my chin because that's where my makeup is at risk of falling apart, just because that's the most textured part of my skin. And then I will go under my eye. I've been kind of being careful with putting it under my eye just because I don't think I need it necessarily. I don't know if that makes sense, but it helps with creasing a little bit. You want to make sure it's blended as well, your concealer. And I find just putting this a little bit helps. I will sometimes put it a little here and a little here just because I tend to sit like this and my makeup will wear off. But I don't always do that. Depends on my mood, really. Okay, then for, what am I doing now? Eyeshadow. So I tend to always, I don't always do this, it kind of depends on my mood. I will set the primer with either like a cream shade or a like white shade. So I'm going with Basic. I don't know if you can, I don't want to blind you guys, I'm sorry. Basic is this shade over here. And I'm just going to go on that like very lightly. I have this kind of chubby brush. This is also supposed to be a concealer brush, but I find it works for my eyes. It's just like a fluffy brush. So today I'm just going to do like a neutral look. So how I usually do that is I will go in with a light color like Cold Brew, and I might mix it in with Vote. I hope you guys can see. I'm sorry, this is not great. That are kind of just like brown colors pretty much. I will go in with a fluffy brush like so. I think you could do this with like a brush kind of like this as well. That's like flat, but I prefer a fluffy brush. Kind of using like a cream or something that's kind of close to your skin tone. I take this on the brush, I then tap it off so you don't have excess, and then I go in with my crease. So your crease is like this area, sorry, I thought it looked crazy for a second, is kind of where your eyeball is, but then it hits the brow bone. So for me personally, that's pretty easy to find because my I kind of have a more defined, like it's just easy to find it, if that makes sense. And I just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to blend it. I have slightly hooded eyes, so I kind of have to lean back to make sure I don't get skipping. If there's like, can I show an example of skipping? Not really at the moment, but also ignore this going on. Plucking my eyebrows. There was a hair that didn't want to come out, and it showed its revenge. So you just go windshield wiper back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm just going in with these two kind of, Vote's like more of a brown, and Cold Brew is like a very light cream shade. And I'm just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You don't necessarily need to do this with a like eyeshadow palette. You could do this with like your bronzer as well. You could also set it with your translucent powder, or if you're using like a skin powder, you could do that as well. So once I'm done going with like a transition color, crease color, I think crease color and transition color are usually used interchangeably, if you're ever hearing that in a tutorial. I then go in with a skinnier fluffy brush. This is by e.l.f. You could also do this with like this type of brush like I just said and just dab it in there and blend. I go in with a dark brown, so I'm going in with half pony. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to go in the corner, outer corner of my eye and place it on both sides. Also, if you don't have like enough brushes and you're not looking out to buy some, you can clean off your brushes either with your hand, like just go boop, 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 or get a color switch type deal. This is not the on-brand color switch. You can get these at like TJ Maxx or Marshall's for $5 or $3. I would recommend doing that. Anyway, back to the show. With this outer corner, you're just gonna go blend it. You can make the choice if you want to blend it just in that area or go back and forth. I tend to use like a circle method in this area, and then I'll go back and forth again, and then I'll do circle, 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 back and forth again, circle, 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 back and forth again. Also remember that I have kind of hooded eyes, so this look may not work for you. However, when I've done this on other people's eye shape, it has, I think, turned out nice. Okay. And then I sometimes will go back with my original fluffy brush, and I won't add more product, so I'll just kind of blend it out, back and forth, circle on the outer corner. Because I do have hooded eyes, I will sometimes go above my little eye socket just so you can see the color over there. And I don't know if you can tell, I'll try to get close right here. We kind of have a nice contour to the eye. I feel like this helps make my eyes look bigger, if that makes sense. I think I'm just going to go in with like a bit more of half pony. And I might just blend that out. Going back to brushes, I like fluffy brushes like these that kind of go up. This is probably my favorite brush. This as well. e.l.f. has another brush. I feel like e.l.f. is like the easiest place to get brushes. I think you could still buy this in store. This is a little bit more domed, so you can kind of place the product then blend. I think you can still get this in Meyer, the Wet n Wild one. and these are nice. When I'm packing a shade on, so like if I'm about to put something on my lid, so I would use something kind of like this where it's tapered a bit, or if it's a shimmer shade, I find that I can just use my finger and I'll get a good application of it. If I'm using a matte, I'll most likely use a brush, but sometimes if the matte is not doing what I want, I will then go in with a finger. Even with the matte, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So you can see we look cute, we look cute. I'm doing something neutral today, so I'm gonna see which shimmer I'm gonna, because we have Instagram model and then we have a rant. I think I'm gonna go in with a rant. And I'm gonna go into that with this Real Techniques brush is what I'm trying to say. And I'm gonna put that on my lid. Now, if you are liking this, like just a nice little matte look, I feel like this would be good. And then just putting a darker color under my lid, which we're gonna do in a minute. So you can skip this step if you want to. I find that this works hold on. See, I'm like, let me do my finger. So that looks nice, but I think I'm gonna still go in with Instagram model on my finger and just kind of mix the two. If you want a mini review on this palette, I do like that there's different kind of textures in the shimmers, if that makes sense. Like the one I just put on, a rant, is very like sparkle, if that makes sense. And will kind of just give you a whole kind of sparkle look. Well, I think a rant is more like I can place it and it won't go anywhere, if that makes sense. I then go back with my fluffy brush and I'm just going to blend out the top once again. We'll add a little bit more brown. So we did have some fallout. I'll kind of show you what I do. I don't have the best plan to how to deal with fallout, to be honest. So for this look, you don't have to go with just like a neutral shimmer like I did. You could also go in with like a fun color, like a pop of blue, a pink, or whatever. Sorry, I'm just messing with it some more. Okay, I think that looks cute. I'm gonna blend that out right there. Okay, so then for the bottom line, I like going in with this type of brush. So this is said to be a smudge brush. Some people prefer a liner brush like this, which is fine, whatever you prefer. I just find that this gives me, that's like very precise. I don't get too precise with the bottom lash line. I'll go in with the darker shade I used, so the shade that I used in the outer corner, which is Half Pony. You can use any dark brown. And I go under my lid. And then, again, you don't have to use this, but this is double-sided. I will take Cold Brew and Vote, what I used on the top, and just blend that out. And again, you don't have to do this. You can just go ham with the dark color, depending on whatever your preference is. And I feel like this helps kind of open my eye and make it a bit rounder and wider. I think you can tell the difference between the two. I can. Okay, so we're just gonna go back with that brown shade. Also, going in with something on the lower lash helps with, if you're noticing like wrinkles. I'm 22. I'm not gonna care about wrinkles, but if you're noticing that, you can kind of cover it up with the eyeshadow, because I notice I get them like right about here. Okay. Why am I? I haven't done anything yet. So I don't usually do eyeliner, to be honest. Sometimes I'll tightline, but it depends kind of on my mood. You could do a liner. I have hooded eyes, so I'm still trying to master the best way to do a cat eye if I want to. I think my eyes look kind of cute how they are now. so I'm not going to mess with them. For brows, personally, I just go in with a brow gel. This is just the Essence brow gel in, I think, Ashy Brows. Yeah. I do have fallout, so I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit. And I'm going to go in with this brush, and I'm going to go in with a translucent color. This is pretty much just kind of a white, and I'm just going to try to get that all out, and then I just kind of swipe it away. Now, I personally find this a little hard to do because I find that even when you swipe it away, you still get sparkle on my face, but to be honest, no one's going to be that close up to my face that they're going to notice. So I do that. The three mascaras I have the Essence Lash Princess, CoverGirl Supersizer, and then the Maybelline Total Temptation. I like using these on kind of like an everyday basis. This will give you lashes. This will make them big. They're big, but I find that this is a little hard for me to remove at the end of the day, and if I just don't want to deal with that, I just use these two. Depending on my mood, and depending if my mom stole my eyelash curler, I will curl my eyelashes. We're not doing that today because my mom, I think, has stolen them. I don't know if this will be very helpful, but what I usually do is I will go up. For this particular mascara, they recommend you rolling it. So I just roll that. Or I blink. I also will kind of move my lashes this way. I don't really know why, but I do. I then will do my bottom lashes. You don't have to do your bottom lashes. Some people really don't like the look of their bottom lashes. Depending on the look, I will do my bottom lashes. It looks a little 60s right now, but it's okay. Then I go in with like maybe something more fluffier, like the Maybelline Temptation. If I'm noticing clumpiness, I will go in with an old mascara brush. This is just one I've cleaned off. You can use any old mascara wand. I tend to save mine. And then I will just go through and make sure there's not as many clumps. I think I got, oh my god, is this a magnet? What is that? I got a little bit, oh, well, that came off. For some reason, there is like a bunch of fallout on this side, but not on this side. Weird. I might wait a little later and see if I can take that off, but I don't mind it. It kind of just looks like a highlight. Oh, so I kind of made a mistake. I haven't been putting a setting spray on lately. So setting spray can be used for like different things. It can be used to keep your makeup on longer, or it helps you, and or can help you just kind of melt the makeup all together. I should have done this before I did my mascara, so I'm gonna look a little crazy trying to get this done. I'm just using up this Mario Badescu spray. I don't think I would really recommend Mario Badescu. The e.l.f., what is this called? I think it's the e.l.f. Dewy. I didn't have a name on it. The e.l.f. setting spray is decent. I like that. The Wet n Wild one is nice. I like the Milky spray by Pixie. I don't know if you really need a high-end one, maybe except for, what's it called? The Urban Decay All Nighter is one I've heard from a lot of people that will keep their makeup on all day. I don't mind my makeup kind of fading throughout the day, so I don't use those types of sprays. But I think you can get like a decent setting spray at a drugstore is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to cover my eyes so it doesn't get, my mascara doesn't go crazy. That's what I'm trying to say. I tend to go ham on my setting spray. And this is, you don't need to do this step, but extra step is fanning yourself to make yourself feel luxurious. I'll just blend this in with a sponge. Again, my approach to doing makeup is a little different from other people's. I tend to do my makeup with the idea that if it wears off, it's gonna look fine. Like I won't look crazy. Some people want their makeup to stay all day and they want the full coverage. That's just not me. So I think we're pretty much done. I think we're done. Are we done? I feel like there's something else I should say. Again, you don't have to follow these rules. These aren't like what you need to do. I just think these are fun little tips. I might do this again with like, you know, cream products because they're a little different of how I apply my makeup. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Did you learn anything? Let me know in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. Bye!